Hello and welcome to another Let's Play. Me, GamerWolfSix of Sileo, Tales of a New Dawn. Before we start, if you're interested in playing this game, you can get it for free on itch.io. But if you want to support the people that make this game and or get the news version earlier, you can go to Patreon, $5 a month, $54 a year. So, on the last Let's Play, it was more flashbacks. This time of Spencer revealing himself to be Solomon and Apollo, kind of. I guess he said, yeah, he's pretty old, but maybe not the immortal. And he revealed this by giving Ty the macaroni with the cut up pieces of hot dog in it. Lasagna, I mean. Hey, is there anything else? I think we also saw a young Diego. I think that's pretty much it. So let me clear my voice. And then reset my face. And continue. That night, he told me everything. About the immortals. About his 6,000-year life. About his pheromones. About Artemis. He told me everything. He'd said so because he had fallen for me. Because I, too, had fallen for him. He wouldn't take it to the next step, but he knew that the only way to do that was to tell me everything. It was a colossal risk, but he felt so strongly about me that it was a risk he was willing to take. Wow, Ty, that's such an adorable story. After all that time, you both remembered each other, fell in love. It's so damn sad how things ended the way they did. That must have hurt you both so much. It did. It does. Even now. It hurts like it only just happened. That night, he told me about his pheromones. He told me I surely would be showing symptoms by then if I were susceptible. We both believed we were in the clear. Sometime later, I began recognizing certain symptoms and behaviors that matched what Apollo had described. I was distraught. I did everything in my power to hide it from him, but that was nearly impossible. One night, we spent the night together, and we met in a dream. This is how he found out. Through that dream, he could also estimate the severity of my exposure, and he told me that by all accounts, I should have already gone feral. I had done my best to keep a handle on it, but even with my atypical resilience, I still felt my grip on sadly slipping. It do be like that. And while Apollo could concoct an elixir capable of preventing pheromone generation, this elixir had zero impact on the immortals themselves. Only those afflicted downstream. It seemed as though there was no solution. It was only a matter of time before Apollo's dire prophecy would come true. I knew how he would respond. I knew because it was the only way that he could. So, in an act of desperation, I proposed to him, present them with this ring, this heirloom. Gran had worn it for as long as I could remember, and before that, it belonged to my mother before she passed. And Gran had then passed down to me. I wore it every day for 20 long years, and it remained suspended from my neck through many relationships, waiting for the right person and the right time. Apollo knew all this, and so when I offered him the ring, he knew how desperate I really was. I was willing to do anything at all, so long as I did not lose him. But deep down, I already knew that there was no solution. There's no happy ending. And so, the conversation which had begun with my proposal ended up with our parting. Then how to get the ring? Through all the heartache, I had forgotten all about the ring, which remained in Apollo's possession until a mere 3 days ago. I believed he longed for the future that ring symbolized as badly as I had. I believe he had a difficult time letting it go. I have been heartbroken before, but never like that. Splits are zoned for disagreements. The irreconcilable differences, from betrayals, or from those are so much easier to process. With Apollo, I still love him to the moon and back. I feel as though a part of me has been torn away, lost forevermore, even now. It is a different kind of pain, one that casts a shadow over everything I say, everything I do, every emotion I feel, positive or otherwise. The night that you and I split was the first time. I was worried, scared, perhaps, scared that you're only dating me as a distraction, as a way to ease the pain and help you forget about Apollo, right? Indeed. I mentioned before that Lucas talked some sense into me. While that was true, it was predominantly Apollo's words of guidance that set me back on track. He said that love was not finite, that someone can love several people with all their heart, that love is not something you have to share. I worried about that myself, and Apollo delivered those exact same words of advice. He said that just because you still love him, it did not mean that you could not love me with all your heart too. Exactly right. And yet, hearing those words back then, I still squandered that opportunity. I still acted like a fool and lost you. You're kidding, right? Here was, listening to your private conversation through damn vents, only to catch a sliver of conversation out of context and go fully nuclear. There's nothing right about how I acted. I was a complete idiot and a total asshole. None of this would have happened if I had been more communicative with you to begin with. Sorry, I'm still sick. There were things I could have said, things I should have said, and I did not. Besides, by that stage, you had become rather severely exposed yourself. I'm sure you know how that impacts your judgment. I knew all too well. And Ty, having said so, only remind me of the conversation we would still need to have. Though there were other matters to attend to first, which was fine by me. Anything to put it off, just for a little while longer. As true as that might be, I'm not sure it was an excuse. Acting like a dick, and Adrian, I will not concede on this point. Without the mistakes I had already made, you would have not been in the position to make your own. It is like I said, I could have said something. I should have said something. But I was a coward. In that cowardice, kept my lips sealed. Suffice to say, one sec. I had already dealt with a situation like that, quite like Apollo's before. Really? Oh, I had never. I knew that the slightest slip of the tongue could have devastating consequences, and I feared that giving you vague answers would only further quell your curiosity. Would further quell? Fuel, not quell. That's the opposite of that. I discussed this matter with Lucas a week or two before you arrived in Woodcrest. We both agreed that it was better to be safe than sorry, and we agreed on a vow of silence. It was the only way to be sure Apollo would remain safe, and back then, we had no reason to believe this would be a problem. But then you arrived, and quickly became involved, and at some point, you became aware of Apollo's existence. It was the day after we split up the first time. I hadn't slept well the night before, and I fell asleep while working for Lucas. I was already kind of exposed, and having one of those weird dreams. Apollo then arrived in the real world, and unknowingly bled into my dream, making it weirder still. I see. That makes sense why that would pique curiosity, especially if your dream was the first time you had seen him. That would have not made sense, and would have been surefire proof that you are sensitive to pheromones, although exposure is not a requirement for such a thing to happen. But I digress. If I had not been such a coward, Though, with the UMC agent skulking around, it's hard to be careful. Wait, is there one skulking around? Oh, excuse me? A UMC agent is here? Apollo did not mention this? Indeed, he keeps close eye on local databases, especially those that might contain information relating on him to him. Give me a sec. I wonder if it's like a character we haven't met yet, or if it is a character. It would be nice if I could answer these questions and heck my voice. Sorry. Though who could it be? Which is how he found out that Dom was helping me find information about him, and presumably how he leaked in his location to Dom, knowing he would pass on me. I guess that means Dom wasn't the only one digging, huh? I feel like, hey, if there's an agent in the area looking specifically for you, you don't make things easier for anybody. Just saying. He believes that's the case. Yes, he knows the UMC is watching Woodcrest after an incident a few years back, but he believed they had moved on, having found no traces in person. As for why they had returned, that's anybody's guess. It might just be routine surveillance. It's hard to say how much they know. Certainly, if they have not acted yet, they could not have enough information to go on, but it is nonetheless cause for concern. It has amounted to nothing before. I surely hope the same thing happens this time. I feel like Spencer could just, leave? I don't know. Just get cash and leave? I don't know. I wonder how you'd, have bank accounts and stuff like that without leaving a paper trail. Maybe he's listed as a corporation. I had no idea. I really hope so too. And I cannot blame you for saying anything. It's such an unusual situation. I wouldn't know what to say myself. I thank you for your understanding, but it does not excuse my failure. It is, like I said, there are things I should have said. If I had considered my words carefully, perhaps I could have averted crisis without putting Apollo at risk. I bear the burden of that mistake. Again, I still feel like you could just have gone hey, we were a thing, but for reasons, we can't be a thing anymore. I still dearly care for him, but it's I don't know, he has a sickness that's, it can't get other people sick, where it's he can't be around other people, or something like that, or can rarely be, or I don't know. No, we both screwed up. I share in that burden. I guess that makes both of us a pair of idiots, huh? Adrian, do you not? Ty, it is time, this time, it's a point that I won't concede on. We share that blame, and that is all there is to it. Very well, but for the record, what I said yesterday at the cafe, I meant every word, even now. You did the right thing standing up to me. The right thing looking out for yourself. I respect that decision wholeheartedly. I respect you for having made it. No, I should have trusted you. I should have known the love you felt for me was genuine, and that you wouldn't do anything to betray me. All that crap about faith. God, I felt like such an idiot. I'm such a goddamn idiot, Ty. No, you're not. You were right back then. Trust is not given. It's something you must earn, and had done nothing to inspire that confidence. I'm sorry that I kept so much from you. I'm sorry that my foolishness caused things to end the way they did. I'm sorry I was so hurtful about it. Remembering the look on your face that night, it hurts. God, it hurts so much. I hate knowing I hurt you like that. I hate remembering how nasty I was about it all. As a matter of fact, I, for one, am grateful that you were. What? Are you nuts? Why? It was a wake-up call. It helped me put my failures into perspective. It helped me learn where I had gone wrong. But perhaps, even more importantly, it drew my attention to just how out of character your behavior had become. I had never known you like that, to be like that. Okay, and that's a good thing. How exactly? Well, for a moment, I was worried Diego's bad example was having quite a profound impact on you. You should know better than to follow his lead. No, but really, it reminded me of myself. It reminded me of how I had felt and how I acted as a thrall to my symptoms. I had already suspected that might have been the case, but it was right when I realized for certain. But yeah, I knew that I was no longer speaking to the same Adrian I had met a week prior. I contacted Apollo as soon as you left and told him. He was distraught to hear how things had ended, but he agreed on my assessment. Of course, I did not know that he would set off on a journey back to his historic abode immediately after my call. But that is not the point. The point is that I'm the reason you became exposed. Oh, I always thought it was like Apollo that was exposing him, but I guess Ty could also expose him. Ooh. Apollo had warned me that my pheromones were potent, and that it would be safest to avoid close contact with anybody until they had subsided completely. But I also knew the likelihood of complications was so very, very low. I am so sorry for afflicting you with this horrible sickness. It was my fault for taking that risk. My fault that it backfired. My fault for not recognizing your symptoms sooner. I felt terrible for inflicting such torment on somebody I care about so deeply as you. I don't blame you for any of it. Not one bit. So please, save your apologies. Oh, and actually that reminds me. I remember that Apollo had given me a supply of medicine that would not only treat the symptoms, but also stop transmission of pheromones, at least for a short while. The quantity was such that I had enough to give some to Ty as well, something I suspected was Apollo's unspoken intention. You'd think that would be, something you'd just tell you. I retrieved a small box he had given me and revealed the contents to Ty. Upon seeing the vials, he simply smiled before retrieving another identical box containing vials full of the very same pink-colored liquid as my own. I mentioned Apollo's visit last night, yes? Well, this was why. I thought it was strange, especially considering that you and I had broken up. I assumed he was simply taking precautions to avoid any future incidents until my symptoms had subsided. Little did I know, the two of you had already met, and that he had sent you on a quest to Summersvale. Though he did say something that caught my attention. He said that I might be needing this medicine soon, and I guess this is exactly what he meant. Oh, and in case you were worried, yes, I have taken a dose today. Being here with me will not be progressing your symptoms, so please, do not worry about that. So long as I continue taking these, my presence will no longer pose risk to anybody. If only I had paced myself in the beginning. Alright. Apollo said you had built up a resistance to it. I guess that's still the case? Indeed. It helps a little more than before, but certainly not as much as it did in the beginning. I'm sure that you're finding your symptoms more manageable with the medicine. Just be sure not to repeat my mistake. Pace yourself. Just one a day. Were your symptoms really bad that you were chugging several a day? I thought you were dealing with it pretty well until that point. No, I was simply hiding it well, and avoiding scenarios where Apollo might notice. I had not been doing so for a while, but it grew harder and harder to maintain as my symptoms grew more and more severe. And combined with the grief following our separation, well, let's just say that was an ugly few weeks. The worst of my symptoms had eased by the time the medicine lost efficiency, but it had nonetheless been an exercise in willpower to uphold the illusion of normalcy. I'm sure Diego noticed, though he would not have known why I was acting so strangely. Come to think of it, he didn't mention that he had been off for a short while, though he definitely had no idea why. And don't worry, I'm pacing myself, still getting fucked up dreams, but it seems to keep me in check throughout the day at least. I'm glad to hear that, Adrian. The dreams, yes, they are something, are they not? I never quite know what to expect. I see Apollo often, though I know it's not the real thing. I see you as well, though once again, I know you're not real. Wait, that reminds me. When I visited Apollo yesterday, I fell asleep beneath a tree in his yard. I didn't think he was home, and was going to wait for him, but I was exhausted. I hadn't slept well the night before. I cannot imagine you did. You were out until very late. Yeah, anyway, he was home. He was just asleep. I think he planned to measure my exposure while he was asleep, and had the power to do it. And then he was going to wake himself up and come find me, but I fell asleep before he could, and we met in the dream instead. He showed me his memories in vivid detail. Question I'm getting to is that you and I are both exposed, right? Does that mean the same thing can happen to us if we were asleep in proximity? Like, say, the night of the camping trip? Yes and no. While we are exposed, we're constantly transmitting information of our own via reproduced pheromones. We're also perceptive to the pheromones of others in the state, meaning that if we were to sleep in proximity, it is feasible that we could somehow share a dream. Unlike an immortal, we have no control whatsoever on our pheromones. As such, this may or may not occur, and if it does, it would not be something we can control in any way. Without comparing notes, it would be impossible to know if this had happened or not. Well, we have spent 2 nights together so far, the night of the festival and the night of the camping trip. I didn't dream the first time, at least not that I recall, but the night of the camping trip, I did. Did you? I did, yes. We were right there, in my special place. And when the clatter of pots and pans stirred me from my slumber, I felt compelled to give you a proper wake-up call. I could not help myself. You see, for some ungodly reason, in my dream, he had been in a state of complete undress. Sheesh. Dream me must be some kind of nudist or something. I dreamt about myself last night, and for some reason, the other me was naked there too. Perhaps it's time to join a colony of... It is time to join a colony of some sort, eh? Oh, like nudist colonies. Anyway, does my dream ring any bells? Sadly, no. I don't think we had the same dream, and maybe that's for the best, because in mine, you were shackled to the wall, and feral, with blood dripping from your maw. I never knew you were into such things, Adrian. I'm not. I mean, I don't know. The timing was super weird. Just as you broke free and caught me, you started, doing your thing in the real world. It was the weirdest thing. I'm sure it sounds like it, though I wonder if feral aspect had some meaning. After all, you know what happens at the highest levels of exposure, yes? A person loses all control. The answer very impulsive, follow every whim, act upon every urge. They can be unpredictable and violent. Feral. I wonder, I don't know. They say, animals are feral, right? So, but, animals can be very smart. How is an elephant feral? Or a dolphin? I don't know. Feral? What do you mean by feral exactly? In most extreme cases, the person can lose all control over their actions and become little more than a wild beast until such a time that they have recovered enough to regain some semblance of control. You can experience brief moments of this in anything more serious than a mild case, but with greater severity, these experiences become harder and harder to control, and their frequency will increase sharply until they become constant. It's a frightening thought. At my worst, it took incredible focus to remain in control. You know, I experienced moments of that myself. On the camping trip, I assume. That was one time, though I felt I still had control over my faculties then. I guess I just allowed it to take the reins over for a bit. But there was another time too, and that time, I know I was in control. Oh? Indeed. The moment I first saw Logan. The moment I first caught his scent. Feral. Feral seemed to be a good way to describe it. And my actions resulting from the events of that encounter were still a topic that needed discussion. A thought, depending on whether Ty wanted to give our relationship another go, I might not need to bring that topic up. And so far, Ty had given no such indication. I was nervous. What if he didn't want to try again? What if he felt that the remaining part would be for the best? Remaining a part. Ty, I'm sorry about everything. I know, and I'm sorry as well. It takes two to tango, as they say, and it certainly proved that we cannot dance. We sure did, and even though I don't blame you for any of it, I hope you know I forgive you for everything, regardless. And I forgive you as well, Adrian. Silence befell our encounter as I sat, waiting for Ty to say something, hoping that he would say something. After everything I'd done, I understood if he didn't want me back, but I desperately hoped that was not the case, because I wanted him back. I wanted him back so badly. But the silence only continued as Ty gazed toward Woodcrest, as the fiery orange hues of the setting sun lit his fur gloriously alight. He was as magnificent as he had been the night we had watched the sunset from our campsite deep in the mountains. It was such a special moment, such a magical moment. The love we shared for one another seemed endless, and our future prospects seemed so bright. It was nice to enjoy a few carefree days, not knowing what awful things the days to come would bring. But it seemed that after everything that happened, we had reached the end of our road. I did not want to press the matter. I did not feel that I deserved another chance. If Ty wanted to give things another go, I was certain he would have said so. I'm glad we got to clear the air, Ty. As am I. Ty smiled gently toward me before turning his focus to the gorgeous sunset ahead, which cast jagged mountain-shaped shadows across the town below. It wouldn't be long before it was dark out, and Ty seemed as though he simply appreciated the chance to settle our affairs properly, once and for all. I understood. Things between us had been so messy, so ugly, so damn complicated. As much as it hurts, it still made perfect sense that he would rather put all this behind him. I wouldn't beg. I had no right. I had no damn right. But it still hurt like hell. I guess I should be getting home now. I forgot to tell Diego where I was again last night, and I promised I'd be home tonight. I'm gonna try and find a way to tell him about Apollo. He was part of all this searching, and he knew I went up here. I'll think of a way to let him down gently. Wait, try to find a way not to tell him about Apollo. Okay. I feel bad about having to keep him in the dark, He's my best friend after all. But it's better than Apollo risking his own safety. Diego's gonna break my kneecaps for sure after this, though. Break your kneecaps? That's an oddly specific threat. All of a sudden I'm like, I'm stuttering. What else would you expect from Diego, I suppose? He's one of a kind, that's for sure. Adrian, learn from my mistakes. Telling him nothing would do you no favors. In fact, by the sounds of things, if you do not, you will wind up in a wheelchair. Joke inside, try and address his key concerns, but think carefully before you speak. Remember that a single slip of the tongue may be all it takes. Do not reveal Paul's immortality, his true name, or anything else that might give him away. And be careful. Diego's quite the firecracker, as I am sure you know. Are you sure? That seems super risky. I am. Just think of how different things might have been between us if I had done so with you from the start. Do not risk your friendship with Diego, and telling him nothing will probably make him even more determined to find out. This way, you may just be able to sate his curiosity. Alright. Still, I'm a bit surprised Diego doesn't flip his lid about this. This is Diego we're talking about. It would be strange if there was not at least a little bit of yelling. But just think, no matter how badly you screw it up, you won't have screwed up worse than me. Easy for you to say, with your kneecaps not at risk. There's Dom as well, and he did most of the searching. He's more measured than Diego, but I bet he's still gonna be pissed. Just think, he won't be able to break your kneecaps on account of Diego's already having done so. Gee, thanks, Ty. Feeling really confident about it all now. You're quite welcome, my dear. Just promise me you'll be careful. I'll be careful. Promise. As the conversation once again gave way to silence, a sense of finality shrouded both of us, suffocating my final hopes of there being any future between Ty and me. Nonetheless, I was still glad we had spoken properly. Not like we had at the cafe. At least, I'd found some semblance of closure. At long last, I stood from my position beside Ty, against the lone tree in the center of the secret place that made sure all of my belongings were present and accounted for, before returning back towards Ty and speaking to him once again for 30 minutes. Thanks for chatting with me, Ty, and good luck with finishing your song. It's gonna be a hit, I just know it. Thank you, Adrian. I'll see you around sometime. Indeed. It has been good seeing you again, Adrian. And you. I began making my way back to the entrance of the overlook, but stopped only a few steps, having remembered that I'd forgotten to say what I said moments before. Oh, and happy birthday, Ty. Tears began welling up in my eyes as I picked up the pace in a bid to leave before Ty could see that I was crying. I didn't want to walk away. I hadn't wanted it to end like this. I'd hoped for one last shot. I'd hoped for a happy ever after. But this experience merely served as an uncomfortable reminder that real life isn't some kind of fairy tale. In real life, you don't always get the Prince Charming. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking this is somehow unjust, but the world owes you nothing, and nor does anybody else. It's just like how Ty and Apollo had been forced apart by unfortunate circumstances beyond their control. It was clear by now, by how Ty was spoken about him, they still loved Apollo with every fiber of his being. I couldn't imagine the pain they're both feeling. I never wanted to feel that pain. It was just like how Diego felt in a relationship with Kyrex, a relationship that ruined his health, his motivation, his self-esteem, all while leaving him with so much grief, anger, and doubt. And despite that, he had put all of this pain aside to help me with my romantic drama. Keeps on talking. I would love to think that I would have done the same, but if that were true, why had I not done so already? I was his best friend, and he had bent over backwards to support me. I made a mental note to check in on him, to make sure he was okay, to be a shoulder for him to lean on. And, It was just how Dom's continued evasion of Russell's attempts at setting him up with Axel had been taking their toll on the poor cheetah. Axel had grown more and more doubtful that Dom felt the same way, and that, combined with his gradually awakening feelings for Russell, was a source of sustained anguish. No matter where I looked, it seemed like somebody was suffering from heartache. It seemed like love was destined to bring pain to those caught in its vicious snares. Love could be wonderful, but it could also be a horrible, miserable, and tragic thing. I wasn't alone in my pain, but that knowledge brought me little comfort. At the end of the day, this was just another bad ending to a short-lived romance, right? Don't talk more. Okay. I feel it's about to be like, yeah, you don't need to say what you said and say what you say. But with that, we're going to call it. So, end of this Let's Play. So, no more talking. Comment, comments, tell me what you like, dislike, tips, tricks, otherwise. If you like my YouTube and like it grow, then please like, subscribe, and check out various type of crew. And please remember the ammos. I'm an only pet population. And if you're interested in playing this game, it's available for free on itch.io. But if you want to support the people that make this game and to get the newest version earlier, you can go to Patreon, which is $5 a month, $54 a year. And until next month, me, GamerWolfSix, Sileo, Tales of a New Dawn. I'm gonna get coffee and a piece of bread. So thanks and see you.